VAR decisions, they get us all talking. Right, yeah, I'm looking over the reverse angle. Trim given. Are you taking a piss? They're always divisive, okay? We get the good, the bad, and the ugly. And by good, I mean bad, and by ugly, I mean ugly and bad. Truthfully, VAR since its introduction has been a real talking point for all of the wrong reasons. It's in some instances slowed the game down, fans don't truly know whether they can celebrate goals, and to be honest, we still get some pretty catastrophic decisions. And those are going to be the decisions we're going to be getting to the bottom of. I am Detective DCI Yusufu, and these are the most vicious VAR crimes of the calendar year 2025. In the words of Sherlock Holmes, it's a mad thing. He didn't say that, and I'm not going to be Sherlock Holmes for this video. I'm not doing it, guys. 6,000 likes on this video, I'll make a new segment in FTW where I've got to dress as Sherlock Holmes for any VAR errors. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking this video could be any game that involves Real Madrid whatsoever. But actually, there's a quite global scale of refereeing incompetence that I don't think you guys are truly understanding. In my research for this video, I realized that this isn't just a Premier League issue. Though predominantly it is a Premier League issue, this is across all over the gap. I mean, Bulgaria, for fuck's sake, they had VAR officials with betting apps open on their phone in the VAR room. That's insane when you've got cameras in there. What the fuck are you even doing? I get slinging a tenner on something very quickly, but you're on the clock, guys. You're on shift. At least try and hide it a little bit. Don't just brazenly have the app open on your phone. I honestly reckon English referees are doing the same. Like, you're gonna see later in this video, there's reason to believe that they might be involved in this too. I'm telling you now, Stockley Park erupts into joy and whimsy when an eightfold they've all betted on comes in at the expense of Ange Postecoglou's CV. David Coop will be absolutely fuming when his bet on England's under-16s doesn't come to fruition. Meanwhile, look, if there's one safe bet, all right, if you're going to be a referee and you're going to bet in the VAR room, the safest bet you could possibly give is Dermot Gallagher agreeing to every single refereeing decision that happened over the weekend on Sky Sports.
This was the no-brainer. This was the banker.
There's actually no point having that show. There's no point letting a referee talk about anything on, like, TV because they will back their boys. According to Dermot Gallagher, there's never been a VAR error.
You wouldn't give a foul for that?
No.
Anywhere else on the field?
No.
Come on, Dermot, you're better than that.
Even the PGMOL don't agree with that. I talked about betting going on in Bulgaria. Well, of course, there's an entire scandal going on over in Turkey. A number of players, like 1,000 players, I think, have been found to be betting and have been suspended. Half of referees in the country apparently have betted at some point in their careers. And between a third and a quarter were actively betting at the point at which the investigation came to light in the nation. It's rocked all of football in Turkey, but the ironic thing is that that was probably the safest bet, was that there would be a betting scandal coming out of that nation in particular. Half of the refs is insane though. There's a 50-50 chance that your referee's been to Ladbrokes, that these lot have been walking out of Beşiktaş before the game's even started. Jose Mourinho might have been right about this gap when he was managing Fenerbahce, but in fairness, it does make the whole country, and from a footballing perspective, amazing. I love the chaos. It's like a GTA lobby all the time. Let's though get into some more of the high-profile actual incidents, specific VAR decisions that we can all, you know, kind of agree. Now, again, this is for the calendar year, so some of these are going to include the end of last season, and one of those is James Tarkowski's challenge on Alexis McAllister. Now, I'm not just going to talk about Liverpool-related ones, obviously, but this is just the first one that was on the notes that I had. It was a yellow card at first, which I think actually kind of made sense because he's collected the ball and sent it a long way, and it happened quite quickly. Like, the contact that everyone points to, which is very bad contact, we'll get onto in a second, is very swift. He's not clamped onto McAllister's leg for a crazy amount of time, so I understand the referee not necessarily seeing it. Now, the great thing, though, for the referee is that he's got VAR to help him out. He's got this mystical device, this ethereal object, yeah, that can intervene, stop time, go back in time, and just make sure that he's made the correct decision. It has all the options, all of the angles to really truly decipher whether he's made the right call. Yeah, nah, it agreed. Even though it saw this point of contact, it said, nah, G, that's absolutely calm with me, bro.
Good process.
Yeah, safe, bless. What I will say is I'm not an advocate for every decision being blasted into slow motion, because I think slow-mo makes every challenge look worse. There are some challenges that, like, legitimately look significantly worse than they were in full speed than in slow-mo. This is not one of those, okay? You can just look at what's happening in full speed, just from a slightly different angle than what the referee had, and go, yeah, Fairs, that's a red card. That's crazy. The follow-through's mad. The point of contact is insane up his leg. It just has to be a red card. I know he got the ball. It's unfortunate. He didn't even mean to do it. He actually apologized to McAllister at the end of the game, which I thought was really sweet, but it is a red card. The man almost converted him into just Alex McAllister. He almost lumped all of the flair out of man. His name is fitting, because this is the sort of violence that you actually see in Tarkov. Bro genuinely ascended into the gulag. His foot could have looked like an isosceles triangle after this one. 10 marks if you can explain what angle this man's leg is after a challenge with an Everton centre-back. And Tarkovsky was involved in some drama at the start of this season as well, against Leeds United. I think it was opening day, actually, where this handball wasn't given against him and in favour of Leeds. Now, you want me to be honest with you, fuck knows how the handball rule works anymore. It's changed again for this season. I think this time around they decided that the position that your arm is in, whether it's natural or not, is extremely important again. But he's got enough time to get his arm out of the way. It's below the sleeve, in my opinion. It's a handball. This is what the FA and PGMOL will allow you to do in a football match, so long as your arm was in a natural position when the ball was kicked. And we've got a pair of handballs coming up next that I think are absolutely egregious. The first one isn't maybe quite as bad, but it's still absolutely wrong. Egregious' ruled out goal against Liverpool. This was very recent. Obviously, Nottingham Forest slapping up Liverpool at Anfield. And Egregious, whilst chesting the ball, had a goal disallowed because apparently it was handball according to the referee and VAR. It's so crazy to see some of the absolutely abhorrent refereeing and like handball decisions that aren't given where it's clearly struck someone's arm, yet this is being categorized as a disallowed goal. It's clearly hit his chest. Thankfully for Forest, they were playing Liverpool, so it didn't matter, and they went and beat us 3-0 anyway. The ref was probably depressed because he had Virgil van Dijk in his fantasy football team. Disappointment for Egregious. Ironically, whoever made this decision needs to find God, because this is absolutely appalling. But maybe the worst one I've ever seen in my life came in the Europa League. Picture the scene. Celtic are playing Braga. Now, honestly, I don't think a single person outside of Celtic fans or Braga fans watched this game of football. Either way, what I'm trying to say is Kelechi Iheanacho's brought the ball down on his chest, okay? He's found himself clean through and he's slotted it past the keeper. Only for VAR to intervene. It's checking something, and it's a little bit of a confusing one as to why. We're seeing replays, we're seeing slow-mos, and it's pretty obvious that there's nothing really problematic going on. Except handball has been given and the goal is disallowed. Where the fuck has the ball even been in the same postcode as Kelechi Iheanacho's arm in this situation? This has to be racismo, because there's no logical explanation for why this goal has actually been disallowed. Like that VAR official when they walked into Specsavers looking for a new prescription, I'm not buying it. Just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if there was a couple Portuguese donnies on the refereeing table there. No, but genuinely, I actually don't understand. Like, this is one of the most quizzical decisions that I've ever seen, because I'm struggling to understand how a referee, few people as well in the VAR room, have all come to the conclusion that that has touched his arm at any point during this attack. Crazy to think that a handball could be given like that, but not against Marco Senesi in the first game of the season against Liverpool. This man was doing up NBA activities. He's battered the ball away. What do you mean? That's not a handball at all. Probably a red. I'm pretty sure he was the last man as well. This was 12 minutes into the new season, by the way. And look, honestly, start as you mean to go on. I understand the mantra, but for crying out loud, we literally got 11 minutes of peace in this Premier League season. That's it. That's all we managed to achieve. Now, see some handballs. How about some big challenges? Or maybe not so big in the form of Miles Lewis-Skelly. It's actually crazy to me to think that this happened in this calendar year. I feel like I've spoken about this red card against Wolves maybe 68 times. What more really is there to say except for Michael Oliver should probably be somewhere in HMP Guantanamo for his refereeing crimes at this stage. If you don't know already, Miles Lewis-Skelly goes and trips, is it Matt Doherty, I think? He trips a Wolves player who's like about to, I don't know, charge into the opposition half and gives him a red card for what is, in fairness, like a cynical trick. Like, he's not going for the ball. He's obviously trying to stop a counter, but that's the extent of that. Thankfully, as a referee, you actually have like a guideline in your rule book that gives out a card for that. And I'll give you a hint as to what you should do. It's not a red one. It's a yellow one. Yeah, it's right there in the rules. A cynical tackle that is just like a little pullback or a little trip to stop a counter, you get given a yellow card for it, okay? It's an offense, yeah? We don't want you doing that too often, otherwise you'd have breaking up of counter-attacks all the time. Every single player being like Fernandinho. But I think for some reason, I think maybe there's like a tiny bit of contact, like a little bit higher, but it's like edge of boot to like bottom of shin pad or something, and he's seen that as like it's a high up challenge, or it's just a little bit too cynical because he's not gone for the ball. Either way, I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing when it happened. Miles Lewis-Skelly was trying his best to perform and try and like convince Michael Oliver not to send him off, but either way he was, and it's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. We've got stuff like Ben Tanker's challenge on Reece James from Chelsea versus Spurs, which didn't result in any sort of sending off. It was pretty high up Reece James's shin, not gonna lie to you. Could easily have been a red card, this one. How about James Trafford committing GBH on Mohamed Kudus earlier on in the season? Have we seen James Trafford since then, by the way? I want to just check up on his well-being, because bro arrived, had a couple of shenanigans, and then Donnarumma came, and we've not seen bro since. I think he might actually just be a stunt double for Thogden at this point. If you see him standing up for an abnormal amount of time in the stands, then you know what's happened. We had Dan Burn putting Christian Romero in a headlock between Newcastle and Tottenham but the other day. Look, we can't have players doing the Boston Crab in the area. This is ridiculous, guys. I'm all for a little bit of holding, but getting bro in a headlock. Dan Burn's a tall guy as well. Getting put in a headlock and landing on the floor after being in an altercation with a man as tall as him.
Look at the size of that fucker.
Is like getting dropped off of Canary Wharf, fam. Christian Romero needed a parachute to get down onto the floor after being in his arm there. We got Julio Enciso for Ipswich at the end of last season, wanting to show Wataru Endo that he was acquainted to Japanese culture, except he decided to do jiu-jitsu on him instead of doing something a little bit more fun in the country. Yet the challenges that we actually do have getting penalised, Muniz accidentally slightly stepping on Trevor Chalobah's foot in the build-up to a goal against Chelsea. This one, I tweeted about this and I couldn't believe that there were people trying to back this one, guys. Get yourselves on a football pitch one day, I swear down. It got an official apology as well, so I want you to know, if you are backing the fact that this should have been disallowed, I want you to know that you're wrong. I just want you to understand that. Rodrigo Muniz is in control of the ball, he's gone to shield it and like half stepped on Trevor Chalobah's foot. And when I say stepped on, I don't mean stamped on, because a lot of people were saying that he stamped on his foot. No, he's trodden, like they've just connected, yeah, but he's in control of the ball now. I don't know about you guys, yeah, but football is a contact sport. Julio Enciso shouldn't be absolutely volleying Wataru Endo in the chest. But for this level of contact, if you're disallowing it, honestly, we're gonna start disallowing half the goals that happen in the league. Genuine, I'm not even like exaggerating. Just lock off contact completely. If you're scoring from a set piece and you've got your hand on a next guy to like try and get an aerial advantage, nah, sack off that goal, mate. Disallow it because you touched him, because you put him at a slight disadvantage. You've maybe left a bruise on his shoulder for like the next morning. His collarbone is now in slight discomfort. Either way, Fulham couldn't believe how badly they've been robbed. They ended up losing the game as well. And this goal that was scored by Josh King, it should have been his first goal as a Fulham player, his first goal in the Premier League. He was robbed of it, but he actually still won their goal of the month in some beautiful pettiness and shithousery from the club. Either way, it was an official error according to the PGMOL, and just catastrophic, man. In other examples of utter woke nonsense, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall getting a yellow card, which I think then got him suspended for taking a free kick too quickly. As Jack Grealish put it, he's never seen that in the game before. If we ever see it again, I swear down I'll watch snooker, fam. And snooker's got to be like maybe the worst sport ever created. We've got Iliman Ndiaye getting a yellow card for doing a seagull celebration against Brighton. How does the referee even know what species of bird he was trying to do? Yeah, cool, maybe you could say he's inciting the crowd because he's doing a seagull celebration. He could have been a pigeon, fam. He could have been a
Sparrowhawk.
It is.
None of us know. Evan Nilsson's red card against Manchester United. Soft. It's not an official PGMOL apology. Nikola Milenkovic's header for Forest last season. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who it was against. I think it might have been Southampton. Soft. Given as offside. Don't even know who was offside in this situation. I actually watched this one back. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I'm not even gonna lie. I think that one was actually betting. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. PGMOL apology, as should be expected in this situation. But then a couple of penalties that I think should have been given. We got one from Fulham versus Arsenal very recently from this season. Kevin, the Brazilian winger, making a tackle on, I think it was Kevin anyway, making a tackle on Bukayo Saka in the area, clashed knees before he's got the ball, is a pen. I'm sorry. I don't understand how this wasn't a penalty. Arsenal fans, I think, can feel very hard done by VAR a lot. I actually did a video talking about their VAR decisions and things that have gone against them. You can watch that video for my full conclusion, but this one is a shocker. I just, what are we doing, man? Because this penalty is given half the time, and I know, I get it. There's nuance. You're always going to get some decisions that are a bit of a grey area, that are a matter of opinion from a referee, but it just feels like there's so many that a lot of us could look at and then just actually look at the rules of the game. It's very clear knee-on-knee contact here, and there's not much contact on the ball, and the contact on the knee comes very much before any slight contact with the ball. It is a pen by the rules of the game, no? Then what, in my opinion, that actually went in favour, really, of Arsenal was a challenge from William Saliba on Mateus Cunha between Arsenal and Manchester United at the start of this current campaign. He's come through the back of Cunha there. Massive pause, and as some people were saying he got the ball, I don't think he even got a touch on it. And plus, again, through the back, he swept through the back of him. It just is a pen. I'm sorry. It's not malicious, it's not crazy, it's just a little bit mistimed. You know, he's just kind of drifted through the back of him a little bit. Maybe again, pause on that one. Then one that did actually result in a penalty, but I think kind of still the wrong outcome, was Brentford versus Manchester United this season, where Nathan Collins dragged down Brian Mbeumo for dogzo. Denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. Now, on Twitter, this is actually insane. The Premier League account that's kind of in charge of like explaining VAR decisions stated that because Mbeumo wasn't in control of the ball, he'd had the opportunity to get to the ball taken away from him by Nathan Collins dragging him back. So it's not like he was clean through one-on-one, like he's already made control with the ball. It was more of like he was stopped from having a first-time hit of the ball. There would have been a very high quality chance. I'm sure it would have had a very high XG because he was dragged back. And they stated because he wasn't technically in control of the ball, it meant that it couldn't possibly be denial of a goal scoring opportunity and therefore a red card. They had to actually put a community note on this on Twitter because other people had found out that that was in fact wrong. So the official account in charge of sorting out VAR, you know, question marks and potential controversial decisions got their own rules wrong. It's absolutely bewildering. Can we also, side note, dogzo is a bad acronym. It just sounds like something absolutely crazy. Either way, Amorim was probably finding a way to blame this on Kobbie Mainoo. It took about 27 minutes to dissect, a full 3 episodes of SpongeBob probably, to come to the conclusion. Then there were substitutions and Bruno Fernandes looked over at Ruben Amorim and he missed a penalty on purpose. But one decision that went the way of Manchester United, even though they didn't have much to play for at the end of last season, was against Aston Villa, where Morgan Rogers was denied this goal. Ironically, actually not because of VAR incompetence, because of general refereeing incompetence. Blowing too early for a foul on Bayinde, which was not a foul. And in this modern era of VAR, it's quite incredible that referees are still doing this. Much like a Bonnie Blue meet and G at 10 AM, they're blowing far too early. Like, you need to let the game play out. Let the ball end up in the back of the net. If you then want to blow for a foul, even though you're wrong, but if you want to do that, then fine, because then at least VAR can intervene. Because he's blown before the ball's even hit the back of the net, VAR now can't get involved, and now it's wrong for life. That also had a massive knock-on effect because it denied Aston Villa Champions League football. This is what life would look like in Birmingham if they just got into the top 5. I'm lying, Birmingham will never look like that, even in a million years. Some robot will be depressed, spawning in the West Midlands area in the year 3157.
Birmingham is a fucking shithole!
And you what, you thought I wasn't going to talk about offsides? You must have been sorely mistaken. The first one for me is the most egregious, although it's not necessarily a rule wrong one. We're gonna come to a crazy one in a second, but this is the most egregious in terms of like, how did you not get this right? And this is Harry Maguire scoring an offside goal in the last minute of a cup game against Leicester. For me, I think as a linesman, you could make an educated guess that Harry Maguire is offside. The man's head is shaped like a Ford Mondeo, fam. If you're even slightly thinking that he could be offside, then he's defo off, bro. If he's in line with the defender, then his head isn't, fam. By the time that dishwasher is connected with the ball put in the back of the net, get your flag up, sunshine. Because we all know the state of play. This came in the last minute of a game. It was a great moment for Manchester United fans, a great moment for Harry Maguire as well. And maybe an indicator actually the VAR was needed, technically speaking, because the reason this wasn't given was because there was no VAR in this Carabao Cup game. But if we're being real, they probably would have just drawn the lines up the other end of the pitch by accident or something. Now, with semi-automated offsides, you'd imagine in the Prem, we'd kind of be done, really, with offside issues, but oh no. Yeah, no, we're not, I'm afraid. Because Virgil van Dijk had a header disallowed against Manchester City for Andrew Robertson allegedly being in a position to affect the state of play when Gianluigi Donnarumma was going to save said header, except he was at no point actually in the eye line of Donnarumma. He was definitely stood beyond the final man, not arguing that, but at no point was he ever actually in the way of Donnarumma. He was never in front of him, certainly from the point at which Van Dijk was even leaping for the header, yet this was given as offside. Now, we got pumped in the game, but at this point, if this goal stands, it would have been 1-1. We then had a goal, like the next week, against Nottingham Forest, the opening goal of that game, where there was a defender actually in the eye line of Alisson, standing in front of him, and that wasn't given as offside. It just seems like referees don't seem to know what that rule actually is when it comes to interfering with play. Over in Italy, and we've got referees forgetting about defenders when drawing the lines between Juventus and Udinese. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, one of the most egregious ones that I've seen, and this is where we're going to end things today. Because in a game between Pek Zwolle and Waalwijk, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Waalwijk, we've got a corner that's been taken short, and the ball's then been swung into the area, nodded in. Calm. Absolutely fine, except there's a VAR, like, check happening. Everyone seems a little bit confused as to what is going on. It's a bit disorientating, and eventually the goal is chalked off. Now, everyone's still confused as to why. It turns out they'd given it as offside because they reckon the player who'd received the short corner, the first pass, so the pass from the corner to the Don who's then going to cross it in, was offside. Don't know about you guys, but I've never been a referee before in my life. I've never been a linesman. Even I know you cannot be offside from a corner, no matter who you pass it to. Unless you want to pass it to a man in the stands, yeah? It's not offside. And it doesn't matter how short the corner is, it's not off, bro. I don't know who was smoking before kickoff here, but it wasn't the players. That's what I'm going to tell you. And it wasn't the managers either. If you as a qualified linesman don't know that you can't be offside from a corner, it's time to work in retail, bro. If I don't see you as a Deliveroo rider in like 3 months from now, then there's gonna be serious issues. So there we have it, a truly scintillating selection of some of the worst VAR decisions from this calendar year. The great year of our Lord 2025. I would love to know what you guys think is the worst. If there's any that I didn't mention, because there will be, like, it's quite literally impossible to keep track of every single VAR decision that's bad. I know that's probably what the title is, but cut me some slack, guys. I'm struggling out here, man. There's too many of them. If there's any that I missed that were really, really bad, then drop it down below. No agendas, by the way. I hate Manchester United, yeah, but they got done dirty with some. You know, Everton, the same. There's no agendas here. If I forgot one that really affected your team in a negative way, I do apologize. I just forgot about it. But yeah, drop that down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, slap a like on it and subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.